Hello, Cassie Hicks here from Modern Marketing Spark. Now this is the third video in our list building series, and today I'm going to talk about email marketing. Now there's a lot involved in email marketing, but doing something is better than doing nothing, and I've got 3 success factors. So if you follow these 3 tips, you will really improve your email marketing, and this means you'll be communicating much more effectively with your list and with your prospects and potential customers. So what are the 3 success factors? I'm going to tell you what they are up front, and then I'll run through them in a bit more detail with you. But number 1 is to get your message opened. And that might sound obvious, but just think how many emails you receive on a daily basis and how full our inboxes are. And it's one of the most common complaints, isn't it? Oh, I get too many emails. So first thing is to get noticed, to stand out, and to get your message opened, because it doesn't matter how good your product is or how fantastic your website is or how amazing your copywriting is in your email. If your headline doesn't get your email opened, all of the rest of that is gone to waste. So number 1, most important factor of all, is to get your message opened. Number 2 is to get your message read, because it's one thing for someone to open your email and say, well, that looks interesting, but you actually want them to read your email, and the first paragraph should lead them to the second, should lead them to the third, and then finally through the email until they get to the call to action where you're going to ask them to do something. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to build a relationship with your list, and this is an ongoing process. This is relationship building, this is providing value and having a conversation and telling a story. But if you get these 3 steps right, you really will improve your email marketing. So number 1, how do you get your emails opened? How can you increase your open rate? And that was a question I had recently at an event I was speaking at, and I came across an amazing formula. This isn't a new formula, but I've started applying it to my email marketing and to social media, and I've seen a massive increase. I've seen a 3-fold increase in my response rates from using this formula. And the formula is called the 4 U's. So what are the 4 U's? When you're writing your email subject lines, or it could be social media headlines, keep these 4 elements in mind, and this makes a massive difference. So you can take any headline and look at them through this filter. Now the 4 U's, the first one is urgent. These aren't in any particular order, but try and have as many of the 4 U's as you can when you're writing your email subject line. So you maybe don't have all 4 every time you send an email out, but try and have as many as you can. So the first U is urgent. So have some urgency or some time sensitivity. You know, this is something you need to act on today, or hurry, you know, the offer's ending soon. You know, you've seen those sorts of headlines, and so you can't use all of these all the time, otherwise people will be, it's a bit like crying wolf, isn't it? But anyway, the second U is useful. Make the email, provide information that's useful, then people will look out for your emails and they'll want to open them. So you've got to actually make a promise of something useful, and then obviously in your copy you've got to deliver on that promise. Unique. Try and take a unique angle. So maybe don't just trot out the same old headlines that you normally use, what you see other people using. Try and put a different spin. Maybe you can take something that's in the news and make it a little bit controversial, or put your own spin on it, but try and make your email subject lines unique to you and in your voice, and so that people know it's from you, not just trotting out another sort of bland headline. And then here, I think number 4 is probably the most important, and this is something that you can do in every email if you can, and that's to be ultra specific. So rather than, let me give you an example, rather than a headline that would say make more money from home, which is really, really generic, isn't it? How about something like how to make an extra $200 a day from home in 2 hours a day? So I'm being very, very specific. That's quite unique, because I've obviously got a system that I'm using. That's useful, isn't it? And there is an urgency in that, but I've got 3 of the 4 U's, so that's a much, much more effective headline than the make more money from home headline, which is just very bland. So I hope that's useful. And I love this quote from Anita Campbell, who's the chief exec of bizsugar.com and also the founder of smallbiztrends.com. And Anita says, "It's better to appeal greatly to a small audience than appeal in a small way to a great audience. And she's really talking about the 4 U's. This is a great quote on the 4 U's. So she's saying appeal greatly. So have massive appeal, piquing intense interest to a small audience. So there we've got being very, very, very useful and compelling to an ultra specific audience. Now if you can nail that, you'll be really making a massive difference in your email marketing. Then the opposite, the way not to do it, as she says, is then to appeal in a small, a blah, unforgettable way to a large and broad audience, because then you just won't get noticed, you won't stand out at all. So using the 4 U's, you're going to find that more people open your emails and people will notice you. And the number 2 is to speak to your audience in a distinctive voice. So I like to use the analogy that I've seen people use a lot, which is about the ice cream analogy. So nobody wants to be vanilla. Vanilla's bland and generic, and vanilla's a base flavour, isn't it, that you can put other things on top. But when you're blogging or working online or running a business and trying to get your voice heard, you need to be chocolate with raspberry stripes and sprinkles on the top. So don't be vanilla, be something, but make it be yours. If you like rum and raisin, be rum and raisin. If you like chocolate and raspberry swirls, be chocolate and raspberry swirls. But whatever your voice is, be distinctive. And I've put this funny little picture here. This is actually from, we had the Apprentice final here in the UK recently, and these are little cupcakes of Karen Brady, Alan Sugar and Nick Hewer. So that's Alan Sugar and his 2 advisors. And what I liked about this picture in terms of being distinctive is that, I mean, my son loves the Alan Sugar books. He's reading them through, even though they should be X-rated, I think, for some of the language. But he loves the books, and Alan Sugar's got a very distinctive voice, and he's not afraid to be who he is. And love him or hate him, we've got the Marmite effect there, love him or hate him, you know who he is and you know what he stands for. And if you love him, and you'll read his books and watch his programs and follow him on Twitter. He's very, very funny on Twitter. And if you hate him, then don't, go elsewhere and follow somebody else. So, I think it's better to be like a little, like the cupcakes we've got here, and have an identity than just to be totally bland. One tip I've got for when you're writing emails and when you're building a relationship and communicating with your list and potential customers is write as if you're talking to a friend. So don't be all formal and textbook, and this is how it was in the corporate world. Just write in a very chatty style. Obviously make sure the grammar's correct, but write in a chatty style, and imagine you're writing to a friend. So imagine a good friend, you meet a good friend in the pub for a drink or over a coffee, and they ask you to describe, I haven't seen you for a while, what are you doing now? What's this new business that I've heard about? So pitch your writing on that sort of a level, because that's very chatty and personal, and people like that. People like to feel that you're writing to them one-to-one, rather than, oh, I'm doing this mass communication. Now here's another quote. This is quite a long one, but I really like this one. This is Francisco Perez, who's a business and SEO consultant, and he says, tips, advice, recommendations, suggestions are all over the web. And this is what, again, I hear this a lot from people. Why would anybody want to hear from me about my particular product or service or business when you can get anything you want for free on the internet? And he says here, in today's world there's virtually an answer for everything. Nonetheless, this is the really key point here in red. Your own voice, opinion and thoughts is what matters. So yes, there are hundreds of videos on list building and email marketing, but people that like me, people that follow me, my customers and prospects and subscribers, and people that like my e-zine and my blog, they want to hear from me in my voice, my particular take. I've got a different take on this than some other people have, and I do things my own way. People that like me will love this, and the people that don't won't, and that's absolutely fine. So I love that. Your own voice, opinion, thoughts is what matters. So it doesn't matter if 10 other people have done this, or if there's 100 videos on YouTube covering the same topic that you feel passionate about. You're putting your unique voice and personality into your communication, and that's what's so important. And Francisco says this is what makes you and your posts unique. So going back to the 4 U's, being unique is one of them. And it's quite hard to think, oh my gosh, there's all this noise on social media and on email and on the internet. How can I stand out? How can I be unique? Well, in a way, it's simple. Just be yourself. So I really, really love that quote. And he says, don't be afraid to talk about a subject that has already been said, especially when you can add value for your readers. So I've put this presentation together. It's my take on list building and email marketing. It's what I think are the top tips and my little, based on my unique experiences, and I hope that's helpful. So don't be afraid to be yourself. And number 3 success tips for email marketing is to deliver. This sounds very highfalutin, actually, having said right as if you're talking to a friend. But I think this does sum up email marketing, but you need to deliver qualities. This is all about providing value. You can't just churn out any old rubbish. It's got to be valuable. It's got to be well written, but in your unique voice. Niche specific content. So whether you're selling or talking about wedding flowers, wine tasting, whatever it is, you want to provide very specific content that your prospects need and also that they will share with others. So you're building a relationship here. Now if you're a wedding florist and you've got beautiful pictures of people's bouquets and you've got a new bride coming to you, they will absorb all the information you can provide with pictures and descriptions, and in this part of the country at this time of the year these flowers are particularly lovely, or you've got this colour dress and these flowers look lovely mixed with a certain type of foliage, or this will go lovely beautifully with the bridesmaids dresses, and you've got a really, really unique amount of experience there, and that's all that comes down to building a relationship. And the same with the wine tasting. You can make that really, really personal and deliver information that's very, very targeted, ultra specific, back to the 4 U's, ultra specific, and useful for your prospects. And here's Seth Godin, who's the godfather of marketing. The only thing I do to increase reader engagement is to write things worth sharing. I mean, how fantastic is that? I mean, it sounds so obvious, but it's something that people forget when they're churning out content. So take the time to improve your email marketing. It really will pay off. Work on the 4 U's. Think about what would be useful for your particular marketplace and your audience. And if you've enjoyed this video, thanks for watching to the end. Visit the Modern Marketing Spark blog, which is mmspark.com/blog. And I've got lots more videos and tips. The last video in this series is on email marketing mistakes to avoid, because it's very easy to go wrong. So follow on with the next video and I'll run through some of the mistakes and how you can avoid them. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next video.